my emotions aren't going to get the best of me. So I really did take a lot of studying Roddy Piper's character and put some of that in Jock Holiday.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
is that I could never get rattled. So if I get rattled, everybody else
is
rattled.
They Live your favorite Roddy Piper film?
I don't know if I can say it's my favorite because I've seen some really good stuff that Roddy Piper's done. I'd say overall, yes, because of the fact that he's also working with John Carpenter, and I'm such a big fan of John Carpenter. So seeing the two of them, that collaborated on that project, yeah, I will say when I go back and watch They Live, I'm reminded, in my opinion, at times it kind of moves kind of slow, in my opinion, but it's still a really good film, and I just love every scene that Roddy Piper's in because the camera just seems to love him.
I also feel like, and I know this is the archetype, a lot of times Carpenter casts certain actors and roles that he feels make up his protagonist. I feel like there's a lot in common with McReady in The Thing and Roddy Piper's Nada. There's a lot in common.
That's a very good call. Very good call. Yeah, I agree with that. And I go back and watch, like, just watching documentaries on John Carpenter and how he shoots things. And like he was talking about in The Thing, like he always shot McReady in the frame by himself.
Yes.
And then all the other people he shot in groups. So when we know that somebody has been turned among the group, it's a lot easier to believe that maybe one of the other ones that McReady is you never really think that it's not him. You're kind of like, you almost feel like you're kind of seeing this through the eyes of McReady.
It's so subconscious and psychological.
Yeah, the way it's all been presented, everything is led up to that. The viewer is already kind of on his side, so to speak.
I love that. There's a comment here from Brandon. I'm going to pull this up. Also, don't know if you guys talked about this or not, but I didn't know about this. Shout out to Ray for his great work in the commentary booth for the Nightmare Factory student showcase the other day. And then, of course, Tony Stark commenting on that as well, saying, I agree, Brandon. Wasn't sure it was Ray at first. Then I heard that low, gravelly ha-ha, and I was sure he did a great job. Ray, I didn't hear about this. I
was going to talk about this near the end of the episode. We did the first 12-week student showcase. I've got the link, Avi. Yeah. I'll send you the link, and maybe we can share it with everybody here. But it was Cody and Mike, QT Marshall's first attempt at doing a 12-week camp, and we had about 25 campers who were all totally green. I mean, they came in not knowing really anything about pro wrestling. One or two of them had a little bit of experience, but most of them starting from nothing. And over 12 weeks, I was very proud to be a coach along with QT and with Cody.
Sure.
And then we put on a student showcase at our facility with all the lights, cameras, and action. And Cody and QT asked me would I do the commentary, which I hadn't done commentary in about 10 years. And I said, sure, I'll do it. And I feel like I did a pretty good job. One of the things I did forget to do at the very beginning was introduce myself. so somebody reminded me.
I don't think you need to introduce. I think it's self-explanatory when people see that Ray Lloyd is there commentating with your accomplishment and accomplished career. Guys, I would love to see that. Maybe next week we can actually play some video. Check that out.
And I'll make sure Avi gets the link so we can maybe share it with everybody.
Guys, as if Ray Lloyd didn't have a resume as large as my entire house. Add another trait. Again, a commentator. The guy does it all. Wears 55 different hats.
And let me give a shout out to Brandon too, because Brandon and his commentating partner showed up, brought their audio equipment that really helped us make sure we got really good audio for that. I turned to him to kind of get a few coaching pointers before we started, and he was great. He'll actually be over there. We'll be doing another kind of mock setup for some stuff we'll be taping this Sunday. So I'll see Brandon again this week.
Ray, you're the only guy I know that has to refill his bucket list all the time.
Yeah, you know what? I would agree. Yeah, because it seems like I get as soon as I get things checked off, I start adding stuff.
Man, I love that. Well, the rest of us are trying to kind of like keep track of the 5 things we have on that list. Ray's already went through them completely. JC already has his Mount Rushmore almost complete. His favorite actors are Clint, Stallone, and Pacino. Nice list there.
Man.
Can't go wrong there. The heel tag team, second to last match, were the best ones. They were all great. I can't wait to see it. Gus Anselmo. These are great comments coming in left and right. Go ahead, Ray. I want you to comment about that.
Just one real quick comment, and you'll see in the very beginning of the video. And this just got released yesterday at like 6 p.m., so it's just fresh out there. But you'll see that Cody does a nice little presentation introduction in the beginning, and he reminds everybody that what you're seeing is even though the production value I feel was pretty darn good compared to what's out there today as far as indie wrestling and stuff like that. Even though we feel like obviously we're able to be a cut above that just because of our resources, but to remind everybody that what they're watching is a group of wrestlers, wannabe wrestlers that have trained for only 12 weeks, and that this is literally their first time in a ring in front of a camera and a crowd.
That's incredible.
So keep that in mind when you're watching this. But I'll say this. They did a pretty darn good job. They really did.
3 months only. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Gus, I would definitely want to see this next week, and you guys and gals can see the clips too when we play them. Gus, that's exciting. Love seeing what you and Cody and the rest are doing with the Nightmare Factory. So Gus Anselmo shutting that out.
Thank you, Gus.
Joel Bateman has his favorite list of actors, who are Yul Brynner, John Wayne, James Caan, Schwarzenegger, Bruce Lee. Nice list. I like that list too. Guys, moving on to underrated films of the 80s. We got a few more. Might go through some of these a bit quicker. This is a film called Near Dark, and if you haven't seen Near Dark, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, this is a film that has a lot of James Cameron guys from Aliens. We have Lance Henriksen playing one of the most underrated actors, in my opinion, is Lance Henriksen.
Yeah,
he could do comedy. He could play a creepy guy. He can play a horror villain. Lance Henriksen is so criminally underrated. He's in this film. In addition to Lance Henriksen, can't remember some of the names, but some you'll see the faces. You'll recognize them in Aliens. A lot of the cast returns, and of course, the late, the great, and his name escapes me right now, but he played Hudson in Aliens. How can I forget about him?
Oh, yeah.
Remind me. There he is. Please remind me, because I'm drawing a blank right now, and I shouldn't.
Oh, trying to see. It's coming up kind of dark on my screen. So.
Yes, Hudson in Aliens. Hudson. Do you guys remember Hudson? Gosh, he just passed away, a Texas actor. He directed Frailty. He was the star of Frailty.
Oh, man.
Trying to remember his name right now. Paxton. Bill Paxton. There you go.
Oh, Bill Paxton. Yeah.
That is Bill Paxton there in that frame. He plays a vampire. This is a great, underrated vampire film, guys and gals. It came out the same year as The Lost Boys, in the same month, I believe. So it kind of got lost in the shuffle, Ray.
Yeah, I remember it once again, but it's been a long time. I agree. Lance Henriksen, you want to talk about a guy who's had a great – just look up his IMDb. He's got about 800 credits to his name. So,
right. Near Dark, guys, is an incredible film. It was shot before The Lost Boys, came out after The Lost Boys. Look at that. That looks Lost Boys-esque, doesn't it?
Epic looking. I love shots like that. Because that just looks like – that just says – it just says huge production value. And that probably didn't cost that much to shoot that scene, but it looks like an epic scene. It just gives you that big movie feel.
Absolutely captures the moment too.
Yeah.
I love it. Moving on, we have a film called, and this is I remember seeing this once, so I don't remember that well either. But Something Wild. I do remember this. This is a comedy. Jeff Daniels stars in this comedy. Ray Liotta plays the obsessed boyfriend. It's kind of a dark comedy, but it's a fun watch. I remember watching it once or twice.
Yeah, so many of these I do remember. It's just been so long since I've seen them, though. But once again, that's why I love the 80s. There were certain movies I feel like in the 80s that would have only really worked at that time during the 80s, But because they worked in that, they kept an audience for decades too.
Absolutely. I don't remember watching Blowout. That's number 2 on this YouTuber's list. I don't remember seeing Blowout. I know of the film. I never watched it with Travolta, of course.
Yeah.
I do know that, Mr. Scarface, the man who directed Scarface, Brian De Palma directed this film.
Okay.
I've not seen the film yet. Definitely will make sure it's on my list.
Yeah.
And as far as, did you catch this film, Ray?
You know what? I can't remember if I saw Blowout or not. I want to say I did, but it's just been so long. But what I do like about just watching the clips there is I'm a big fan of of colors in films, and when you have like deep colors in film, to me that will tell so much of the story without the dialogue or the music. Just the deep colors in the film will set the tone for the film and the scene.
That's so incredibly true. So incredible. And guys, I think a lot of times people don't notice that, but you're right. The aesthetic sometimes can lend to the creative elements of a film. J.C. Farina remembers Near Dark. He says, it's awesome. Lance played the FBI agent in Dog Day Afternoon, the one that's Sonny, that shot Sonny at the end. I do remember that. Yeah. My 2 favorite filmmakers are Avi Klein and Ray Lloyd, but I agree with you, but Ray Lloyd goes first, Avi Klein goes second. Remember that? Incredible movie. Yes, it was Brian De Palma. You're right. Some honorable mentions. Don't know what they are. Let's play them and see if I remember them or if Ray remembers them or if you remember them. Honorable mentions, we have Return to Oz, 1985. Did not catch this, Ray.
I didn't either. I did not either. I don't even. But I now it's got my interest.
Angel Heart, Robert De Niro playing a rare horror in a horror film.
But I will tell you this. I know this for a fact that Jim Mitchell, who did the when he was managing Mortis,
I know where you're going with this.
He patterned James Vandenberg, his managing persona, after De Niro's character in this movie.
And a guy, by the way, talk about someone who has verbal stamina, a guy who probably never had a verbal flub in his life, James Mitchell.
Yeah. James Mitchell, who we definitely got to have Jim on here. Vandy, as we call him. Get him. Have him on as a guest coming up here one of these days.
I think it also speaks to the viewers that are watching this now because, I mean, look at that shot. That reminds me of James Vanderberg. I mean,
yeah. I remember he actually, I don't know if he went to the same prop company or not, but he eventually got a prop ring that looked exactly like the ring that De Niro wore in this movie.
That is incredible. Yeah. Did not know that. More honorable mentions before we get to number one. We now have... Yes, The Brave Little Toaster. This is a rare movie, guys. I've seen this a couple of times. I know the title throws people off. It's not what you think. Great film. Secretive, I've never seen this one. This is one of the first animation films that did really well in the box office. I did not see it. More honorable mentions. What do we have here? Is this Desperately Seeking Susan? Is it? I think it might be. No, it's After Hours, number one. Guys, this is a Martin Scorsese film, and it is a comedy directed by Martin Scorsese that not many people remember, Ray Lloyd.
Oh, man, wow.
Check this film out.
I need to check it out, yeah.
I need you guys to watch this movie now. Cheech Marin's in this. There's so many great cameos. Listen, I know right now people are kind of waiting for the lockdown, unfortunately. Watch this movie. A lot of great faces and actors are in this film. You've got to give this movie a shot. It's called After Hours. Check it out. That is our list, or someone's list. I agree and also disagree with it a bit, but that's what we'll do. We will also make sure that you guys and gals can talk about films that you like. That was Ray's Reels. I had a fun game, but guess what? We covered it all. We talk replaceables. We talk wrestling. Again, our condolences to Don Wells and to Paul Westphal and their families. We talked about underrated films, and of course, we talked about you and anything you wanted. As you see, we will always pull up your questions and comments ad nauseum because you guys are the driving force of all of these shows. I can see the resemblance regarding Vandenberg and Angel Heart, so there you go.
Yeah.
I have a quote for Ray Lloyd, and we will close out the show, guys.
I got one little thing I want to share while you're still on here with me, but after you go first, and then we'll wrap it up together.
Tony Stark is bringing up a good film. Let's not forget the epic Mac and Me. Thank God Paul Rudd keeps it alive. Yes, great movie. Another great show, gentlemen. Never ceases to amaze me how awesome these LOLs, labor of loves, are every single day. Thank you so much, JC. Appreciate that wholeheartedly.
Thanks, JC.
Guys, legendary coach Bear Bryant said, show class, have pride, and display character. If you do, winning takes care of itself. I agree wholeheartedly. The qualities that ultimately make us who we are also are essential tools in what makes us winners. A man that strives for success yet never compromises his character, moral code, or discipline sits to my right. This man is as versatile a human being as you can meet. He's also a great friend, a brother, and the host of the show. His name is Ray Lloyd, and I throw it over to him.
Thank you, Avi. Yeah, and just as I was explaining to Avi earlier, just since we're talking about the Ray's Reels thing and we're on the movies, a documentary that was just recommended to me that I shared with Avi from my buddy Luther Biggs is one called King of the Underdogs. And if you're a documentary person or you're a movie person, check it out. It's the documentary about John Avildsen. If that name doesn't sound familiar to you, that's okay, but just know that you'll recognize the movies he directed, one being Rocky, the original Rocky, and then the original Karate Kid. And I think he did Karate Kid 2, and he did Rocky 5, along with a lot of other great films. But I just finished watching the documentary, and amazing documentary. And one of the things I discovered about Martin Scorsese, which they interviewed him, is that he actually, the first film that he worked on was one of John Avildsen's first films. It was like a black and white film, in New York. So it's amazing how small that the filmmaking world can be at times. But yeah, check it out. King of the Underdogs, a great documentary. I highly recommend it. You'll recognize a lot of faces from some of the iconic films. And what I love about the documentary, if you're the type of person who loves a type of film where the hero walks off into the sunset, John Avildsen was the guy who really seemed to make those kind of movies. Obviously, he made movies that made a lot of money and still people remember, like Rocky and Karate Kid series and things like that. So check it out. I mean, I think it's something that most of you will really enjoy.
An amazing director, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't know about this till Ray brought this up. There's John Avildsen behind the steering wheel right there. That's the guy. That's him.
Yeah.
Check out his film. I try to pull the poster up. But guys, King of the Underdogs, I may watch him. We could maybe review it next week if you want, right?
Yeah. And in that picture is also one of the guys they interview a lot, and is Jerry Weintraub. And how I came to know about Jerry Weintraub, who just passed away a few years ago too, is that he was the guy who really believed in Bruce Lee. He was the guy that really got the big studio to back Bruce Lee to make Enter the Dragon, which obviously changed the martial arts world forever.
Changed my world forever, Ray Lloyd.
Me too. Yeah, me too. It really did. Watching that Bruce Lee movie is what made me fall in love with martial arts, which changed my entire life, the path of my life as far as, me studying martial arts and things like that.
I don't want to sound cheesy, guys, but I mean this when I say this. The power of film. Really, the power of film.
Power of film, yeah.